with the fiance. We're back with the fiance. Back here at Relevant Remarks. How's it going, Katie?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for coming and doing this with me. This is fun. How's your internship going with AITA?
I really enjoyed my internship last year, and this one has been substantially more boring.
Yeah.
They just don't have a lot of work for me, but I have faith that it'll pick up in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it usually does. I feel like a lot of internships, they start off slow, kind of learning the way of the business, and then, you start doing work, and hey, if you hate it, you hate it. If you like it, you like it. It's only an internship, so.
Yeah, I hope so. It just feels like this is my last internship before we jump into the real world.
Yeah.
So if this one is kind of turning me away from the major that I'm in, then that's not
And what are you in?
ideal. I'm a civil engineer.
Yes, you are a real engineer. That's nice.
Not an imaginary engineer.
No, not an imaginary engineer. Okay, well, here's some local news that might interest you since we're both engineers. Just recently, I'll give you the rundown. So UW-Madison, they've been planning on building this new engineering building for the campus, and I think the project was supposed to be roughly $300 million, roughly $300 million. A little less than half, I think 40% of it was going to be paid by the university. And then 60% was going to come from the state government. And then just recently, the state legislature, they said, okay, we're not going to give you the money for this new engineering building. And yeah, it has a lot of people upset because they say we need a new engineering building.
What? I don't understand what we need a new engineering building for.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like our engineering program is already pretty solid. I think a lot of people say we need a new engineering building because you look at E Hall and it's pretty old, and yeah, you look at maybe the campus and it's old. But I mean, I think it's still good. But a lot of these new renovation projects, stuff like that, I think a big reason is to pull people towards UW-Madison. I think a lot of colleges, they're a business. Like, we want to have the fanciest things so then we can take people's tuition money. But just getting back to the story, our governor, Tony Evers, he offers a yearly budget for, the fiscal year, and then, that's his offer. And then the legislature, they say, well, we want this, we're going to take this away, we want more here, less here, whatever. And then they vote on it, they approve it, and then they send it back to Evers, I believe, to vote yes or no on it. And they took out a lot of the funding for UW campus stuff. I think the original state budget for everything that Evers proposed was $2.4 billion for the state of Wisconsin, and Republicans knocked it down to a total of 1.8 billion. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think it's that breaking of news.
Well, I mean, honestly, I feel like in a way this could be better. I mean, you were just saying how we have a lot of old buildings. Why do we need a new one? Why can't we just renovate those? I mean, E Hall in itself, part of it is new and nice, but then you're right, like you go on different floors or separate areas of it, and those are pretty run down, pretty old. Why don't we just focus on those first?
Yeah.
I mean, even furthermore, we have all this space on campus, and how many of these buildings are just completely empty that we don't use? I mean, why don't we focus on those instead of putting up new buildings, wasting all of the green space that we have,
Yeah, it is odd how the campus owns like half of Madison. If you look at it, I mean, there are just these like wide swaths of land that the state, or the university rather, owns just all of these buildings, and it does make you think, what are they using these buildings for? Like, what, like I've never had a class in there or there or there. I don't even know if classes happen in there. It is odd that that they continue to build buildings rather than just renovate them, or change purpose for them,
Or like, I mean, with the humanities building, they're tearing one down and they're putting a new one up, if that's correct. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's no reason to be putting up all these new buildings when we have so many being unused right now. I mean, if we're going to build something new, maybe we should take something down too.
Yeah. Here, I'll just read from the article because I think I may have gotten it wrong. So, it looks like the UW-Madison's plans for a new $347 million engineering building also called for a total of $150 million in private gifts. And so as of right now, they've raised $110 million. So that was the other thing. So the university has already raised $110 million for this project. And then this new budget comes out and Republicans say, we don't want state dollars going to this project. And now the university is worried that they're going to lose or people are going to withdraw their donations and gifts for this project. And they've already reached $110 million. I mean, I don't know. This is another thing. Why does the university need state funding? I mean, if you think about it, they charge a fortune for tuition. They gain millions and millions of dollars every year with their Big Ten sports programs. Okay? I mean, there are plenty of other ways they get money. Why do they need millions and millions and millions of dollars from, from the state, from state taxpayers? I just think, I'm not saying that, I mean, it's a state school, and so, maybe there is some sort of argument to be made that the state of Wisconsin is collectively good for the people of Wisconsin to give money towards this really good school system. I mean, I'd say the UW school system is pretty good, not like reputable schools. But is it really the responsibility of the state to pay for everything? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that a new engineering building would be bad. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's like this huge controversy that it seems to be made like on some of the outlets here on campus, like the Badger Herald and whatnot. Like, I don't know. We're both engineering students. We survived with the buildings. I loved the buildings. Like ECB is beautiful. Mechanical is really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't really hear that much uproar about needing a new building. Maybe that's just the major that I'm in. Maybe I'm just in buildings that are generally not, terribly old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the classes that I spend time in are pretty good. But, I mean, I don't know. Think about the smaller engineering majors like material science or, I don't know, you name it. Maybe our aerospace. I feel like that's probably smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like we're still giving money to UW-Madison in the budget that the Republicans proposed. Specifically, they're going to give $285 million for Camp Randall Sports Center. So that's, I guess, interesting. I mean, that's a lot of money. They're going to give $230 million to the UW Eau Claire Science Building. They are going to give $58 million for residence halls at UW Oshkosh. Oh, my bad. And then $139 million for renovations at UW Stouts Heritage Hall, I guess. So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense maybe that they're pulling back a little bit on this. I mean, there isn't, I wouldn't say it like a huge need for this. I mean, it would be nice for sure, but it's not, we're not going to die without it, clearly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And if they're funding not just UW-Madison's campus, but all the other ones around the state, then those are big projects. I mean, all of these are millions of dollars, so even though we might be producing that, it's still a lot to cover all of these other projects. I mean, UW-Madison is constantly under construction. I mean, there's so many different projects going on.
What do you think would be a worthy cause of $150 million from the state? Like in your life as a student, where do you think that money could go? Where it would be best used?
Yeah, well, I mean, just driving over here.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a terrible time finding parking, so I feel like UW-Madison especially, anywhere you park, it's just, it's either permit parking or it's on the street, but you can only park there for 25 minutes and you have to pay for that too.
Yeah, the parking is awful.
Yeah. I feel like money could go there, maybe creating some parking lots or funding some kind of permit system for students.
I feel like I feel like that's on purpose though. I feel like it's almost, it might, I mean, there are probably several reasons, but I think there's got to be some sort of initiative to make driving in Madison very inconvenient and disincentivize it, to incentivize like riding bikes or walking, maybe for the climate. Also, I mean, maybe that's a decent way of gaining revenue from like local the local government, City of Madison. Parking tickets and parking fees and.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's very true. I've definitely racked up my fair share of parking tickets.
Have. Yeah, I think. Well, this maybe doesn't come as a surprise. I think that the recreation and well-being facilities like the Nick and the Baki now, like they're very fancy facilities, but they're just not good. Like they're not quality workout places. They're real fancy and they have all the new stuff and the glass walls and like great architecture, but they're just not good at holding capacity for a ton of people who want to work out. And I don't like how they're both on the corners of campus, where you have Nick on the southeast side and you have the Baki on the northwest. Like I wish there was something in the middle, or maybe something near Camp Randall, like where the Shell used to be. Maybe something small. I just want a small, ratty, gross, just free weight gym where you can just go lift and you don't have to worry about this and that. And without all the bells and whistles, but maybe
that was the Shell.
Yeah, I know.
They really shouldn't have restricted us from that.
Yeah. So maybe something in the recreation well-being part. I don't know.
I think with the gyms, they just need to find somebody who, I mean, you kind of mentioned this when it first came out, just people that like actually know what it's like to work out. It just seems like whoever designed it didn't have that mindset of like, okay, what's actually realistic for a gym? I think they made it very beautifully, but there's a lot of wasted space. I mean, both gyms are huge, but there's still a lot of area, especially at the Baki, that's not being used.
Well, what they do is they make these second, third, and fourth floors, but they make them like what's it called? Like a loft, not a loft, but mezzanines. They make them like mezzanines, and then you just waste all of this square footage that you could have just workout equipment and just free weights. Like the one thing about the Baki is like the first floor is pretty sick, first floor, but I'm pretty sure the first floor is the only place that they have free weight dumbbells, like the only area where they have like a huge selection of dumbbells.
Yeah.
And then on all the other floors, like remember when we were up on the very top floor where they have the track, they just have that halo. I think they call it the halo, but that just circular area where they just have like a bunch of random like workout equipment. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they have weightlifters designing these gyms.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
Well, people that want to run too, I mean, that track is ridiculous.
Yeah, that track is laughable.
Like anybody who's doing sprint training, or I mean, shoot, even if you do want to do long distance, running around a track that's shaped like not even a pear. I mean, it's not a real shape.
It's
just
a deformed pear.
Yeah.
And there's only like 2 lanes.
Yeah.
There's like one running lane and a passing lane, and that's it. It's like
right. Yeah. And then I mean, if there's not extra lanes, what about if you're going at different paces? Somebody's walking, somebody's jogging, somebody's doing sprint training.
Right.
There just isn't the capacity for that.
You have to give it to the Nick on the whole track thing. They have a nice track. My only complaint would be it feels kind of small, but like it's a nice one. Like you can actually get some
indoor
running
gym. It's not much more you can ask for than that.
Yeah. Honestly, I still kind of favor the Nick, I think. It's just familiar to me. It feels like there's more of the equipment I use. I don't know. I'm still on board with the Nick. And they have like a huge pool area, and I don't know.
Yeah. I think realistically the Nick is better, but I think just like design-wise, the Baki.
Oh, the Baki is beautiful to the eye. I mean, it's funny. Every floor is a mezzanine, but yeah, I don't know. That would be my rant, but
Yeah.
yeah. Well, want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, here's another story I saw, and I'm reading it for the first time here. Well, I guess we could just give you a little update if you didn't hear, but you probably did. So Tucker Carlson, he's fired from Fox. Everyone's in an uproar. Everyone's sad, too, because everyone loves Tucker, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know how you don't like Tucker. I love him. Yeah, so he made an announcement on Twitter that he was going to host a show, but this kind of caught everyone by surprise because it seemed to be that he still had a non-compete clause in his contract with Fox, so it was kind of up in the air what would happen. But Daily Wire reporting, Tucker Carlson returns with new show, Tucker on Twitter. And I'm reading now. Tucker Carlson inaugurated the return of his popular show on Tuesday, dropping the first episode of Tucker on Twitter after being taken off air at Fox News in April. Carlson is still reportedly negotiating his exit with Fox News, where he led ratings with his primetime show, Tucker Carlson Tonight. The network took him off of the air suddenly after his last show on April 21st, but he promised to bring it back in some form on Twitter. And then, let's see, Carlson opened the first episode of his new show talking about the destruction of the Kakhovka Dam in Ukraine, calling it an act of terrorism. That's another thing I don't know much about, but I actually read about it on Twitter today. Yada, yada, yada. Well, this is interesting. This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to be a new subscriber to his show? Watch all this
Probably will. Yeah, I'll probably go check it out after this. Okay, can you just, how about we talk about this? What is it about Tucker Carlson that you hate so much?
I don't hate him or anything that he says. I think it's a lot more in just the way that he goes about things. For example, I mean, I share probably a lot of the same views as him, but I think he's very condescending in the way that he speaks. And I think that for people that, I don't know politics super well or both sides of the story always. But I think for people that are just getting their news source from Fox News or from Tucker Carlson and they don't hear anything else, like these are the people that aren't educated and they're listening to Tucker and they're just getting really fired up because he's a very fired up person. And if he's describing everything and being very condescending about it, just basically using name calling as a way of like making all of his arguments, then that's what all these uneducated people are going to use and that's how they're going to make their arguments. And that's just not a very good argument, like if you're going to fight against something, like you should actually know both sides of the story.
Do you think that there are any educated people that watch Tucker Carlson?
Yes.
Yes. So what about them? I mean, what do you think the breakdown is? Do you think it's just a bunch of uneducated people and they're just watching Tucker like robots and then they're just getting fired up or what?
I think that it's probably a
good mix.
Good mix. Yeah, but I'm just thinking about like all of those people that are uneducated,
What would you want to see out of I guess a political commentator? What kind of characteristics would you want to see or character traits?
I would want to see them being respectful of each other. I mean, you see it like in any debates, whether it's a presidential debate or anything that requires people to make a decision or to vote or, put in their opinion or something. Like, you want to see two people that are able to communicate with each other without just digging at the other person's like personality or characteristics or something like that. Like, let's actually get down to the core of the issue and let's just talk about that. There's nothing else that matters because this is the thing that's going to affect everybody else.
So you want to see professionalism?
Yes.
Yes, I see. Okay. Do you have any?
I don't see a lot of that in him.
Okay. Maybe we just got to sit down and watch his show together because maybe you just haven't seen enough of him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, do you have any examples of? I mean, you said that you don't listen to politics or watch politics a lot. Do you have any examples of people that you do like to get your news from or?
That's no.
No. Yeah. You're not a big news person, are you?
I'm not. I couldn't name any names. I feel like I don't see personality traits like this often. You know, I think Tucker Carlson is just very well known, and it's because he has a very loud and like bold personality. And I think that that's good to an extent.
Okay.
Like people are listening to him, and that's for a reason. And like we need more people that people are going to listen to. You know,
Yeah,
otherwise, if nobody's interested, then nothing's ever going to change. You know? So, I do see the good in this, but it's really just for the people that just don't know what they're talking about. If that's their only source of news, then that's just never the way to do it.
Are you happy to see him relaunch his show, or do you not really have any input on that?
Yeah, I guess I feel kind of neutral about it. I mean, it seems like people are excited about it and something to get fired up about. You know, that's what people want. Something to get fired up about. So.
Yeah. Hey, I'm excited to hear what he has to say. I think it was kind of crazy for Fox News to let go of the like most popular cable news host, you know, in the industry, getting like 3 million viewers every night on his show.
Do they know why?
Well, there's some speculation that has to do with the Dominion trial. Did you hear about that? Do you know anything about that?
No.
So during the election, or shortly after the election, you know, Trump lost, but he was claiming that it was rigged and there were votes and whatnot. And there was one thing that actually caught a lot of traction was this story about these Dominion machines, the vote counting machines, malfunctioning or error or, you know, something going wrong. And presumably Republican cast votes going to Democrats. And it was a big story from Trump pundits that was propagated, put on air by a lot of Fox News hosts. So Dominion, the company that makes these machines, they sued Fox for defamation. They went to trial, and Fox ended up settling outside of court halfway through the trial for like $800 million. And there's been some speculation that part of the settlement was that Fox News would remove Tucker from the air, but both Dominion and Fox News has denied that. There's also been some rumors or stories that the CEO or the guy who runs Fox News, Robert Murdoch, I can't remember his name, that he wasn't a fan of Tucker. He didn't like Tucker. I mean, Tucker, to his credit, I mean, you know, maybe you don't like him, but Tucker is, I would say, is a lot different than many of the other pundits on the conservative side that you see, like Sean Hannity or Jesse Waters. Like, you know, I've heard, I don't watch Fox News, but, you know, Tucker Carlson has been known for, like, having like a full show just about the CIA and conspiracies about aliens and stuff, like just interesting stuff. That I guess this is why he has 3 million viewers every night, or had 3 million viewers every night. And yeah, I just think he's a different. He's not a traditional conservative pundit or traditional Republican pundit. I think he's a conservative, not a Republican, which I appreciate and respect. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of how I feel about him or anybody else, whether they love him or hate him, I mean, Fox is going to lose a lot of viewers just because they lost, like you said, somebody that's very untraditional, and that's what people want to see is something different. You know?
Well, yeah, not only did they lose him, but they fired him.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of ridiculous to me. But yeah, I guess we'll see where that goes. But
yeah.
Okay, should we move on to Am I the Asshole?
Sure.
Okay, the classic segment here. So we found one that we like, and maybe if we don't like it, we'll do another one. But okay, so Am I the Asshole? From Reddit, written by C. Leck. I don't know.
Is that important?
No. Am I the asshole for forcing my husband to move in with his parents? Okay. You have me hooked. We recently moved in with my in-laws. because I'm 31 weeks pregnant with our first child, and I feel like I need my mother-in-law for support since I've been pretty terrified the entire third trimester, and my parents don't live nearby. My husband didn't want to move in with them, and the only reason he did is because I told him I would go without him and he could stay in our house alone until after the baby is born. His parents are great, and they're very close, so that's not why he didn't want to temporarily move in with them. We fought about it a lot before we moved, and we're still arguing about it now because he thinks it wasn't necessary and I'm stressing over nothing, which maybe I am, but that doesn't magically make the stress disappear. He said multiple times that I forced him to move here, but he could have stayed at our house, like I said. I can't expect my mother-in-law to visit every day, and I feel better being in the house with other people around. My husband does sometimes work from home, but he's usually holed up in his office, so it's like he's not here anyway. So this is better off for me. My in-laws are more than happy to have us, but they're more than happy to have us here, but my husband is still sulking and gives me an annoyed look whenever his parents say something about his habits that he doesn't like. Am I the asshole? I don't know. This is interesting.
Yeah. I wish I had more reasoning of what she feels like she needs help with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that kind of makes a difference as to, like, what is she actually stressing about. But like she said, I mean, she gave the option to her husband to stay. And granted, I feel like that's probably one of those, like, yeah, no, it's fine if you stay, but he's going to feel like a jerk if he stays at home or something. Like, it's kind of like a trick, you know?
Yeah.
Like, she's probably not going to be very happy if he actually stays, you know?
I'm kind of split because I think just off the bat reading that, I don't think that she's the asshole for wanting extra help or wanting to be around other people. Maybe my question is, like, if everything is fine at home and he's able to work from home every now and then, maybe not always, he's got a job supporting the family. I guess what else do you need? Like, that's what I need. More context is needed. Like, what exactly are you moving into your mother-in-law's house for that you couldn't get from your husband? Like, what are these unrealistic comforts that you want? Like, do you want to be pampered or something, or is it just you're terrified? I don't know. She said she's terrified. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a mix of a lot of things. Maybe she needs help moving around. Maybe it's just like preparing for the baby to come. Maybe there's a lot of stuff that they still haven't done yet, like a nursery or packing your bags for the hospital or I don't know, even just figuring out, like, what is this actually like to give birth? I mean, it's her first one, so maybe there's just a lot of, like, affirmations she needs that, like, her parents-in-law can give her. Yeah.
And maybe also, like, you think about it, like, what kind of house are they living in? Maybe bad area of town. Maybe, I feel like maybe she would have specified this. What kind of job is the husband working? Like, yeah, he can work from home, but maybe it's a really stressful job and he can give no attention to her and she just needs someone there. I don't know.
Right. Or like the reliability of, like, she goes into labor, who's going to take her to the hospital?
Yeah.
She won't be able to take herself. So that could probably be a big part of it, is just, like, having people there to, like, be ready. I mean, she said she's, 31 weeks?
Yeah, she says she's in the third trimester.
Yeah.
Yeah, 31 weeks pregnant. What'd your mom do when she was pregnant with, like, Chrissy or Vincent or?
Nothing really different than, when she wasn't pregnant. She worked up until, she basically couldn't, and she still continued all of her daily life activities. Nothing really changed. She could still drive and clean and cook for us or, whatever she does in a day.
Yeah. So. I guess she had some support with, like, with Kenzie or, I guess occasionally Mark. I just think Mark, you get kind of the same scenario where he's always working. And
right. Yeah. When Lillian was born, I drove my mom to the hospital for that because he was at work at that time. And, of course, I dropped her off just because she was in labor. But then he, rushed over there as soon as he could. So I don't know, just having something like that where like you're in labor in that second and like you need to get there right away. You can't wait maybe even an extra like 15 minutes for him to come home or something. Like you just have to be able to drop everything right then and there and go. So
Yeah. Should we read the comments before we make our decision?
sure.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. Swishy Strawberry says, I'm going to go light You're the Asshole for a few reasons. One, it's very valid that you would want family support in a time like this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this move has hurt your husband in the sense that he's been made to feel like he's not good enough support for you. Like, the vibe is, quote, your mother is the one who makes me feel secure in my pregnancy, not you and our shared home. Two, when moving through these kinds of big life milestones, people usually like to feel as though they're moving forward, not backward. And for most adult folks, moving back in with their parents, who usually have a set of house rules and continue to infantilize their children even when they're grown, make them feel like they're moving backwards. Your husband might feel like he's being treated like a kid even though he's about to become a father. And then 3, this might be the biggest one. Unless a relationship is over or abusive, both sides of a couple need to agree unanimously about these kinds of things. You essentially didn't give him a choice in this, told him, I'm removing myself and your unborn child from our current state of life. You can either buck up and join us or be shit out of luck. That's not particularly kind or fair as a partner. All this to say, I know that pregnancy is a tough time that's strife with hormones and emotions, but that said, your partner is still entitled to fairness and empathy. It's his life too. Yeah, hey, that's a really good point. I didn't think about any of that.
No, I feel like we're very focused on just her and her pregnancy, but I mean, from the guy's side.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like point 1, where just like, he's the man of the house. He's trying to provide, and just like maybe the feeling like your wife is just like, I want to move out and I don't feel comfortable here. Maybe that would be a kind of a blow. That would kind of suck.
I feel like one thing though that makes this situation kind of unique is that she wants to move in with his parents and not her parents, you know.
Well,
I know that's because they're, you know, out of state, but I feel like sometimes the family dynamics, like I would think that she'd be more likely to, you know, let's say both parents were there, that she would want to move in with her parents. I know that's out of the question, but you would almost think that maybe he'd feel a little bit better about just she wants to move in, you know, with his parents and get their help and stuff. So you would think maybe that would take off the edge of like, you're not doing good enough, or like I need to find help from somewhere else, because it's still like his blood related family. So maybe that would kind of take off the edge a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's true. I don't know. It kind of convinced me though. It kind of convinced me, because it does. I mean, like the third point says, like it is kind of like bulldozing, you know? It's kind of bulldozing the relationship. Like, this is what we're gonna do, and you can either stay here without me and your unborn child, or you can come along. You know, I'm giving you a choice, but it's not a choice.
Well, I'd be curious to hear from his perspective how he's actually feeling about this. We don't really get that side of it. Like, did he put up a fight with this, or was he okay with her making this decision? And just, I don't know.
Yeah, everyone's saying you're the asshole. I wasn't expecting this, but I'm kind of convinced after that first one. The next one says, you're the asshole. Did you take into consideration there may be a reason your husband doesn't want to live with his mother? Also, it's unhealthy to do this, or I'm leaving in a marriage. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That wouldn't be good. Yeah. Hey, I think I'm ready to make my verdict. I mean, I don't know about you, but I do have to go slightly on you're the asshole. Because I say slightly because I do respect what that first commenter, Swishy Strawberry, had to say. Like, pregnancy is a very tough time, a lot of emotions, a lot of hormones running, and maybe your judgment isn't always like the best. Like, you're feeling something, you have a feeling, and then how you solve that feeling or how you react to that feeling isn't like the most reasonable, and I'm willing to have a little bit of like understanding and grace with that. But yeah, I mean, what about the husband, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that in a marriage, all of these choices, especially where you're going to live, these are decisions that should be made together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I just need more context. But, you know, I'd like to think that, like, she really feels like she needs to move to get more support because she actually needs more support, you know. I think that that's fair. I mean, she's about to bring another, like, human life into this world. And so if she needs some extra support that she's not getting, I mean, like, your baby needs to be taken care of too, you know. And so that's a very important and valid point in a marriage in itself.
Yeah. So what are you saying? Not the asshole?
I don't know. I can see both points. I feel like I need more context on this.
No, what if I said you either have to hit the "you're the asshole" or "you're not the asshole" button right now?
Oh.
3, 2, 1.
I don't know. It's either the husband or the baby. Like, I want the baby to be supported,
Yeah.
but I also want, like, their marriage to be supported. I feel like that there's probably a ground where both can happen. Like, they probably could both live in their house right now, and maybe there needs to be more communication. Like, hey, these are the things that I need help with, that I need support in, that I'm not getting right now, you know?
Sure.
That could probably be a good next step. So, yeah, maybe I'd lean towards more she is.
She is. Okay. Well, this was fun. This was pretty good. Let's end it here while we're ahead. And thanks for coming on. Let's do it again soon.